And then I need to take some of your messages. And then we move on. Yes, Koko. Yes. Right.
I've done some checks on the UO group thing. He's right. They said, and I talked to the UO group themselves.
Okay.
They are saying they didn't pay because the law did not require them to pay.
Okay.
So
precisely the point I was making.
Yes, capital gains tax. Those were one of the exemptions to allow them to grow in a nascent industry.
He's right. I concede.
Yeah, but it's now harmonized. So going forward.
Great, great, great. Okay, so that's the gentleman you have there, Kweku Bako Jr. Now, this is Dr. Ato Edu, and he said during his interview on the BBC's Hard Talk, His Excellency Nana Akufo-Addo did not say he doesn't know. Don't pay attention to that part of my introduction. That's not the essence. The essence was to be sure whether the NPP has, you know, everything together. So don't pay attention to that, okay? So Dr. Evans Satoedu sending that from Evans, Georgia in the USA. Thank you. Kathleen Ade says, listening to Newsfile, the lady emphasizes all the negatives for implementing free SHS. Wow. It's as if the idea of an educated population is anathema to a certain group. If only there was this level of debates around frivolous expenditures like bus branding. Anyways, then that's what I've been tagged by Kathleen Ade. And then Selassie Sosu says, Samson, can you see Kweku Bako is surprisingly in agreement with everything Mona is saying?
Oh, wow.
He does this whenever there is a beautiful woman on the panel.
That's not fair.
Okay.
That is Chinese.
Okay.
Oh, God.
Interesting
Ghanaians.
there. A couple of your messages here. You have sent messages about topics, issues we are yet to discuss. So I need to, you know, prune and not to read those messages because we'll get there. Most of you are excited about the fact that Kweku is back. And then, okay. Now, Eric Mesa says, Samson, are you not a lawyer? A law established that fund with conditions. So if the conditions are not met, allow the fund to rest. If it's that easy for the Heritage Fund to be used anyhow and anytime, why was Osafo Mafo talking about amendment of that law by Parliament or so? So what's the attack you started with at me? I don't get it. Eja Kwawadi says the NDC are afraid of free education because they know when the last man gets educated in Ghana, their party will collapse. Okay. Ja Ernest says, who are the future leaders? So should we keep the money while children of today don't get equal access to education? I support the use of the Heritage Fund. Now, well, the MPP says that a Heritage Fund is not in the consideration. Don Pino in Malam says that, Samson, please tell the NDC, okay, please let's learn to just be decorous about it. Okay, you can call her. Okay, you say that you wanted to give you a break. Didn't the NDC government promise to also make SHS free after kicking against the policy in 2008 and 2012? We shall use some of the Heritage Fund to support it. Okay. Bonti Benjamin in Achimwe Buaka says, Samson, using the Heritage Fund for the future generation now is a laudable idea since the unborn can be born today. Let's support President Akufo-Addo to succeed. Papa Yao Stocks says, the same Council of State that advised the President Mahama to release the infamous Muntie 3, and you think an 18-year-old young man is not good enough to give such wise counsel? Come again. Well, that's my point of view. I think it's sacrilegious for anybody who thinks that because he's 18, you can apply to go to the Council of State. First of all, it so shows the poverty of your understanding of what the Council of State represents. Dela Anikla says the Heritage Fund is just 5% of the oil revenue to government. So are we saying the rest of the 95% is still not enough for immediate needs? If we admonish individuals to save and invest in future, in finance, why not the nation? You meant to say in future. Okay. Paul Hehei says, I don't get you. Why? Is the country for only gray-haired people? You think children or young persons can't advise the president on any matter? I disagree with you. Thanks for disagreeing. Edwin Appiah says that this opinion is what you can call, okay, I will not read that because you are reacting to the Paul Hehei's view. It's okay, let's agree to disagree, but let's not use too much of a harsh language. Okay, now let's pause here and then come to deal with parliaments. And I think I'll start with Nana Komia on Parliament. And I was there. Actually, my firm represents one of the persons involved who is supposed to appear. So I was there early morning. We did every preparation, got ready. And when the time was up, the committee announced that they are suspending because of a number of issues, including that the records were not ready for the previous hearing, and so everybody ought to be giving. People are very skeptical about what will come out of Parliament. Are you one of those?
Well, thank you, Samson. There's a difficult situation that I believe Parliament finds itself. From the onset, let me say that the public hearings, the way the hearings are going, is probably going to make it difficult for any, if you like, interference with where the evidence, with the conclusion that the evidence should truly lead. So this public hearing really is what gives me confidence that nothing can be manipulated. No conclusion can be manipulated. That the conclusion will be determined by the public themselves, and it will make it difficult for anybody in Parliament to hide or manipulate the conclusion. And the conclusion, whichever way it goes, will be very difficult for Parliament. Because if the allegations are proved not to be true, then those members of several members of Parliament, largely in the NDC minority, who have made those categorical allegations.
Not several. Mahama Yarga and two others who have confirmed.
Are there only two?
Yes, Mahama Yarga and two others who are confirmed. So three. Yeah. Not several.
Well, but several means more than three.
Three is several.
Three several.
Oh, three is several?
More than three is several.
Oh, I see. Yes. Sorry.
And there are many who haven't come out publicly. But so if those allegations are not true, then what happens to them? And if those allegations are true, then what happens to Parliament? So either way, Parliament is going to be in a difficult situation. And the public hearings is going to ensure that Parliament is not able to dodge that difficult situation. So we are in for a very interesting time. Now, when you look at the substance of the matter, here are categorical allegations being made by members of Parliament. And here are categorical denials of those same allegations being made by other members of Parliament. So there seems to be no middle ground. There seems to be no middle ground. There have been strong categorical allegations that, yes, this was done, and this person was in the middle, and he told me this and told us that. Then the other point is, no, this was not done, and this and such a person is lying. So it will be interesting to see how it is unraveled. But there's also the possibility that maybe something actually happened in terms of monies changing hands. It's just that the narration of the monies was what the allegations got wrong. Because if nothing absolutely happened, it would be extremely surprising for members of parliament to come and say that something happened when absolutely nothing happened. So it's possible that something happened in terms of money changing hands. It's just that the narration as to the explanation for the monies is what is wrong. Now, if that is also possible, very possible, then it brings the question of those members of parliament, many of whom are my friends, who are largely in the minority. What it means is that they took monies that they know or should be in a position to know that those monies they were taking were irregular. And yet they went ahead and took them.
But if the story is true, as you say, assuming without admitting, then they were rather doing the right thing, because they say we discovered later that it wasn't coming from the official source because we're expecting our allowances, and on the basis of that, we returned the money.
Two seconds. I'm saying to you very simply, Samson, that at the point of taking the money, you knew that those monies were not regular, because you know the regular way that allowances are paid. These people making the allegations, many of them are old-timers. They've been in parliament for minimum 4 years.
There's only one who is new.
So you know how monies are paid at committee level. When a committee does work and sits beyond official hours, and so allowances have to be paid. The allowances are paid by the clerk, and you sign onto a document that explains for you what the purpose of the money that you are getting is. So
you don't take their explanation that, if it is true, you don't take the explanation that their leader brought it to them and they assume that the leader would have done all the signing and everything.
How was your leader going to sign your signatures? How was your leader? Because the signing of the signature is for accountability. So if you took money and you didn't sign, that means that money you were taking were not accountable.
Signed for the group collective.
How can something?
You don't buy that explanation by Mama.
How can you take money and then somebody is signing for you?
Okay.
No. So if you went in later and said you didn't take any money, what happens?
Okay.
So I'm saying that at the point of taking the monies, they should have known, or they knew, that these monies were irregular. Then later on, they got to know that there was some leakage, that they've taken monies. So they returned the monies. That possibility too is very clear. And indeed, many people believe that that is actually the case. That monies came, they took it, knowing that these monies were irregular. And later on, they realized that, because indeed, when you listen to some of the narration, they say, oh, we had somebody say, oh, have you seen the Ajaku, have you gotten your share of the Ajaku money, something. So it means that it was only when they got to know that, hey, this thing has leaked, that they returned it. Because when we are taking the money, you should have known that these monies were irregular.
So what you are suggesting now is that whether the story is established as true or not, however the outcome, the accusers will be as guilty. Is that the case?
Yes.
I see.
Yes, because what it means is that you took the money, then later I realized that, no, this money that I have taken, it's becoming general knowledge, so you took it back. And if there are, the way the allegations have been denied categorically is also a matter that is completely baffling.
Okay.
There's no, you take the PCRP or Fori thing, which is the very famous matter. There was some payment made. There was no doubt about it. PCRP or Fori interpreted the payment wrongly. He said that those payments were made as inducements for people to vote for the Vodafone deal. But the payments came after the Vodafone deal. And number two, when the NPP gave his parliamentary candidates monies, the first one came around September. We were told at that meeting that the second tranche will come on this date. And the second tranche came. At that time, the candidates were, the parliamentary candidates, of which I was one, were given 10,000 cedis by our party. in 2 tranches, 5,000, 5,000. At that time, the cedi was roughly $1, 1 cedi. So it was the 5,000 cedi was equivalent to $5,000. But it was campaign monies that the party contributed to the members of parliament. And indeed, those members of parliament who were not contesting did not get that money.
Was it paid in dollars or cedis?
It paid in cedis. But I'm saying to you that the interpretation that it was bribe could not hold, because those members of parliament who were not parliamentary candidates, who had lost primaries or had withdrawn, like the Nana Akufo-Addos and all of those who were stepping out of parliament because we were contesting for presidential and so, did not get that money. It was meant for parliamentary candidates. You know. But I'm saying that in that case, you could see a certain linkage that, yes, monies were paid. The interpretation that it was bribe was completely wrong. But in this case, some people say monies have been paid. Then the people who were supposed to have paid money said, no, we haven't done that.
Okay.
So we'll see how it goes.
Maybe let's not recanvass the substance, but look at the process as has begun. And from what Nana just suggests, that's really serious. That particularly if the outcome is that it is true, then it means the accuser and the accused will all be guilty. That's serious.
Well, I'm unable to appreciate the trust of Nana.
No, he's saying that.
I really don't get the point.
You say it's bribe money, but you took it and you knew it was irregular. So if the accused is found guilty, you equally be guilty, because in bribery, it's the giver and the taker.
Well, if I heard Ayariga very well, the impression I got from him on the submission on Radio Gold was that was the following day that rumors began to circulate that the money they had received was bribe. That's why they sent it back.
Right.
It means that, and I'm just being fair to him, it means that at the point in receipt, he didn't know it was a bribe. That's what he was saying.
Nana Kumia says he would have known, because that is irregular. That's not a practice.
No, but you see, that's the point. I'm trying to make a point.
Yes, you're right.
It means that whoever was given, assuming, because I have a difficulty with that whole thing, assuming that somebody was indeed gave him money, it means the person didn't tell him that this money is to influence you to do Mr. Ajako a favor.
That's another
at that material moment.
Yes.
That's another point.
Yes, that person didn't tell him.
Yeah.
Now, how do you receive money for
do
which purpose you don't know?
Yes. Okay, so I have a difficulty. But you see, we as journalists, we've been told all sorts of things by different people, publicly and privately. They expect us to be transmission bells of their whispering campaign. I'm unable to do that. They are cowards. I'm not ready to be a transmission belt for cowards who engage in whispering campaign. Expect that we journalists then will give it a certain stamp of authenticity and put it out there just like that. No. If indeed monies came and you know the money, where the monies came from, have the courage to go to the committee and spill the beans.
Who has been talking to you and asking you to come speak?
Oh, a lot of, look, from day one, and I'm not the only journalist who was contacted, all sorts of people, oh, the money came away, he came this way, this man brought it, this, and they expect us to help them in their rumor mongering. Why should I do a thing like that?
What do you make of the process so far?
But just a quick one on the Akomia thing, and it has to be very clear, otherwise it can be, this is the letter PC appeal for real road to Kodom Pieni. If you permit me, just to put it in right context. You see, it says payment of $5,000 to each NPP member of Parliament shortly after Parliament had given approval for the terms and conditions of the sale agreement with the Ghana Telecoms Limited. And listen to appeal. It says, it has come to my notice from a reliable source in the minority in Parliament that the NPP members of Parliament who were in Parliament on 14th August and voted in favor of the sale of GT were each given $5,000. Shortly after, by a majority vote, Parliament gave approval for the term and conditions of so and so and so. Then he says the amount could have been given, this is why he is saying, could be given to any of the following 3 categories of members of Parliament. A, majority caucus, including non-NPP members of Parliament, as has been the practice from the time immemorial. B, NPP members of Parliament who are contesting the 2008 elections and who did not absent themselves from parliamentary deliberations as a financial support for them in their campaign. Or C, only MPP members of parliament who were present and voted in favor of the sale of Ghana Telecoms as their reward in fulfillment of a promised inducement. Now you see that he himself was not categorical. He gave three, then he says, if the said payment was made based on categories A and B above, then I am entitled to mine. If, however, it was based on C, then one can rightly say that it was a reward for corrupt inducement to those who voted, irrespective of the fact that national interest was subordinated to. So the man who was making the allegation said did not have anything of evidential value. He was also speculating based on information from the minority, incidentally. In the case, he went to the Vodafone Review Committee, if you recall, gave same testimony. The committee said, look, we don't have the jurisdiction to proceed any further, but you also didn't bring us anything. But this is just to put on record so that people will get a context.
The reason why I refer to the PCI matter is that in that instance, there was an event, and then he put an interpretation on the event.
I've only reinforced
with this one, the people, some groups say there was an event. The other group says there was no event at all. So,
thank you.
Two very contradictory
of course, again, the focus should be on what the committee is doing. And it's good that it is in the public domain. To be honest with you, it's very, very important that it is being broadcast and telecast alike for all of us to see. We just have one day. So it's still very young, early days yet to do a serious analysis. But few things have come up. I articulated some of my concerns last Thursday, and I really reinforced them here. I'm surprised that some members, and in this case, perhaps it's fair to mention the name, Mr. Ablakwa, took to Facebook to make a case before sending a letter to the committees for him to be given the opportunity. I'm surprised at that. It ought not to have happened. Regardless of the fact that his name was mentioned as having been the one who confessed that, oh, this was an equalization operation and all that, I think that a member of parliament ought to have disciplined himself and waited for his opportunity. If you read the letter that he wrote, his lawyers wrote, apparently he received an earlier letter indicating that he should stand by.
All of them received an earlier letter informing them that they should be ready.
Yes. Then two, at the committees meet the proceedings, the chairman also indicated that those who think they have any input to make, members of the committee could submit memoranda upon which, if they study, you can be invited. So there was not a closure for me to anybody who had anything to say. And of course, for me, in terms of even the principles of natural justice, there was no way we were going to have that thing completed without people like Ablakwa Suhini called. In my candid opinion, it wasn't going to be possible.
What do you make about the issue of contradiction that was raised that he wants to speak to? Because Joe Sewusu had earlier said clearly that it was Mahama Yaga who said this was cooked up. And then at the committee, he says it was Okujetu who said this was cooked up.
I'm not even too sure if that contradiction you are bringing up is correct, whether Joe Sewusu really said so or not. But for me, the substantive thing is this. See, when they were presenting, that's 27 January 2017, when they were they were representing the second report of the Appointments Committee. And you realize that Joe Sewusu recollected this thing, that he made that statement on the floor of the House.
That's so.
See, this is what he said. He says, Mr. Speaker, with your permission, I move that the report be so amended. Mr. Speaker, I also wish to observe that indeed, out of this meeting has come some other revelations and confessions. As the news that is going around that I have received money from members of the committee was created to play a level ground that the majority had called the president corrupt. So corruption must be shared among both sides of the House. There was laughter. That confession has come, and it has come tempest to some extent because some of us were extremely boyish. Now, knowing the source and where it comes from, we would find a way to deal with it, such that the entire members of the committee will continue to enjoy the confidence of the Ghanaian populace. For me, the only difference here between what he said at the committee and this is that he didn't mention the name. But this was put on the floor of the House, read into the records, and captured by Hansard, uncontested. Uncontested. I've checked the attendance list, those who were at Parliament that day. It includes those members who today are being mentioned or who are part of the allegations.
You're right.
Look, you go to the 31st January Hansard, the day they set up the committee. Apparently, he repeated the same thing. Okay? He repeated it. Let me read that one too. He says, Mr. Speaker, at this juncture, I insisted, he was talking of the meeting they had to look at the consensus or majority voting. And he says, Mr. Speaker, at this juncture, I insisted that the committee had to deal with allegations of bribery attributed to Honorable Mahama Ayariga. The minority members in unison appealed to me to take it easy. It was at that time that a member said that because Honorable Ayariga called their president, Honorable Ajako, called their president Mahama a corrupt president, that they were also spreading the corruption allegation to cover all. We laughed about it, thinking that it indeed would end there. Again, this is a repetition. On 31st January 2017, on the floor of the House, read into Hansard. This time he's saying the minority members. He didn't mention them, yes, but it went uncontested. I have a difficulty with that, my brother. That such serious statement. Now he's gone to public, the committee, he's mentioned a name, of course, he's brought in some personality. Is that this should have been contested 2 occasions.
I think in one of the comments that he made, which is being referred to now, is that, quote, in the conclave, after they had shown that they, the minority, were satisfied and were willing to withdraw their objection and agree for their report to be amended, that Honorable Osafo Mafo and Boachie Jacob be passed by consensus, we were going to leave. And I said, no, there was this allegation already in the public domain, and Honorable Ayariga is the one alleged to have made that allegation. So we should discuss that after the meeting. All the minority members said was that, Mr. Speaker, cool down, cool down, cool down. And I said, how can I cool down? This allegation is already in the public domain. It was at that point that Okujeto Ablakwa said, because Ejako said our president, Mahama, was corrupt, we were spreading the corruption allegation. Then, this is what
this is what they said at the committee.
Yes, at the committee. And then the Ghartey committee, there's another comment, I'll look for it, which he is quoted to have referred to Ayariga as the one saying that this was cooked up.
That is an issue. No, that's an issue that should be interrogated at a committee,
right?
Particularly when Ablakwa turns up. Right. But I am saying that this thing you just read, that is the 3rd time he's saying so.
Okay.
The 3rd one being this time mentioning the name.
Okay.
At the committee level, the Joe Ghartey committee.
Yeah.
But on 2 occasions, on the floor of the House, he had actually made similar statement, minus the name. And it went uncontested. Now, my last point is this, my brother, see, it worries me. If at the end of the day, they clearly wanted to petition the Speaker, which they eventually did. In any case, if you read the Hansard carefully, that was not exactly what triggered the setting up of the committee.
Is Joe Wise?
Yes. And then Dr. Ayu wanted Ayariga's conduct to be referred to the Privileges Committee. Of course, Aruna Idrusu, in making his submission, also recalled the fact that the 3 gentlemen had petitioned the Speaker. So at least it was at the back of their mind. But you see, you intended to petition the Speaker, meaning that you were bringing the matter within the framework of Parliament. I don't see how you then battle your case on Facebook or in the media.
Okay.
Then I don't see why the exhibit was sent back to the sender, quote unquote.
Okay.
I don't get it.
but-
You want to petition the speaker, you want the issue dealt with, but the expert, you returned it.
Which has been?
That's the money.
They said they received 3,000.
But-
Why did they go to
but-
the
but
sender?
Isn't it curious? Isn't it curious, Kweku, that 3 people put a petition together to the speaker for the purposes of this vehicle to probe? And then in the end, you have a committee being set up, and it's set up at the instance of the chairman who stands accused, rather than the petition that had been taken by those who are making the allegations.
That's Parliament. The chairman, and I believe you mean Ose Wusu,
Joyce, yeah.
he made a statement on the floor of the House. He was more or less notifying the speaker that I intend to take legal action. And you've had some problems with him. I think he explained it there.
Yeah, he did, yeah.
But the view is that to serve notice, if you have to serve a member of parliament, you need the explicit permission of the speaker. So he's analyzing it from that angle. I don't want to go into those details. But he made a statement talking about all these things. When he finished, Dr. Ayu also made a statement. He was calling for Ayariga's conduct to be referred to the Committee of Privileges for breach of privilege. The 2 of them made these statements. The speaker's view, I mean, Aruna Idrusu and Osaiche Mensah made contributions to the effect that, look, referring this matter to the Privileges Committee may not be the best in these circumstances, because the chairman is there, even though he can recuse himself for the vice chair, is still within their framework. So let's go under order 191. So by the trend, if you read the Hansard, the complainant, quote unquote, was the chairman.
Okay.
And
but the
not-
question that is being asked is that, how do you do that when a petition was pending?
But the petition was not brought to the floor. It was overtaken by the chairman's statement, as well as Dr. Ayu's statement.
So was it irregular
No, I don't think-
for the speaker to have said, well, this matter you are referring to, I have received a petition from the 3 honorable members here. So since you have raised it and there's a petition, let's deal with it this way. Remember that the committee says that Joyce is not a complainant. He is a witness of the committee.
Oh, in general terms, when everybody is a witness, that's how it is in terms of the investigative format. Everybody attending is a witness. But we all know, if you read the genesis, then you can begin to point whose statement triggered what. I think that's so when you say complaint, you can say quote unquote, and really not meaning it in exactitude, in terms of exactitude.
Right.
Yeah, that's it.
Okay.
But I don't think it's a fatal injury. Whatever it is, all of them are going to have their day. For all of us to see, on basis of which the committee will...
That's the most essential.
Yes.
Doc, what do you make of the process, and what are your expectations? The gentleman who wrote to Shraj, petitioning Shraj has indicated, replied to him and said that we are sorry. For now, we are unable to get into the matter. We'll wait and see what Parliament does. And he's disappointed because he feels that Parliament will not do a good job. There are many who have that suspicion.
Well, what is unfolding presently for me is reminiscent of a tale in which a king was being asked to dance naked to prove whether indeed he meets condition precedent to inherit the throne. What happens? Now, the condition is that you should not be circumcised. So the king dances naked. It is found that he is circumcised. It means he will be overthrown, isn't it? If he is not circumcised, it means he meets the conditions, and so he can be king. But then you have lowered his esteem. I liken that to what is happening in Parliament. Parliament is dancing naked. To what effect? At the heart of what is unfolding is the issue of professional conduct, ethics. But also, at the core, is criminality, bribery. So a prima facie case is established. And what next? What consequences would there be if it is established that somebody bribed and the person is now a minister? Are you just going to remove him from office? Or would there be criminal action? If it is proven that somebody accepted bribe and the person is a member of parliament, what is the consequence? So I ask myself, what are we trying to achieve really with this unfolding drama? And I'm yet to be convinced by any response so far.
The consequences, if you read from what happens in the House of Commons, and our parliamentary practice is based on all of these things. In fact, the literature that almost all our parliamentarians are expected to be reading to be abreast with the House, what goes on in the House, is the Eskin-May, right?
Yeah.
It says that the implications include that you could even be suspended, you could be expelled, and above all, you could be remitted for criminal prosecution.
Sure.
So there are rather very dire consequences ahead.
So we wait to see the outcome. Once Parliament comes up with its findings, and I like the fact that this has been done in the public layer, and so there will not be any attempt to kind of hide any information. We are all becoming part of the jury in terms of comments we pass and all that. I hope nobody will be held in contempt.
You sound like you belong to the skeptics.
I do.
You do?
I do. I'm
So
a bit
why should you?
skeptical. I would have
They
wished
said they
that
wanted to do it in camera. People said no, it should be public, and they have yielded to that. Does that not suggest to you that they really intend to do something really good?
No, sincerely, I would have preferred an independent inquiry into this affair.
Okay. Yes. Let's hear you.
Samson, this is a very difficult one because I think that it speaks to credibility issues, and it hurts not only those who have been named now, it hurts a process, an institution, and it hurts a governance process, or democracy, one that we all want to promote. I think that it even hurts the name of being a Ghanaian, you know, because then it's in the news. Ghanaians have had this issue. I recall when the British Parliament had the issue of they spending money on rubber ducks and, you know, improper expenditure. This one is also another one of an individual, or let me say a human error type situation, if it occurred. Because there's a lot of he said, and so forth. And as Nana Komia said, there are two strong positions. There's no middle ground. The credibility issue here for the Parliamentary Approval Committee, where the chairman himself is being put on the hot seat, as it were. I want to say that it's a difficult one, and I wish it hadn't happened at all, but it has happened. I want to say that, what about all the other members of the committee? I was listening to Malik, and I was wondering, have we spoken, or has the committee that has newly been set up, the Ghartey committee, spoken to the other minority members on the approval committee? And will they be doing so, because it looks like they are limiting it?
They said their doors are open to anybody who wants
for
to
the memorandum or who want to write. And
Right.
also, even on the majority side, who are on that committee, we have a number of, some of them who are now even ministers. Now, Mr. Boakye Jako is a fine professional, perfect pick for his position. I mean, there's no doubt about that. He has the qualification, the experience, which is even more important. And it's going to be unfortunate if things go the negative way. If things go the positive way, which is that nothing really happened, as Nana Komia has said, then somebody lied, or a group of people lied. Now, those people are also people that we look up to in Parliament, representing serious constituencies. So whichever way this falls out, it's not going to be pretty. It's going to be very disheartening for all of us. I think at this point, egos are at play strongly, because everybody wants to prove that they did not lie, and everybody is trying to protect their reputation and so forth. And I want to agree with Dr. Manteau that perhaps it should have been an independent assessment, as it were, rather than have Parliament judging its own, because we all know that at the end of the day, every group tries to protect their own. And even though it's camera, perhaps it's just a show.
And you see, that point you are making
watching.
of the skepticism, and Dr. Manteyao, a senior lawyer sends me a message, and he says that, let no man be, he's quoting a legal maxim, let no man be a judge in his own cause or case, unquote. Now, that's a legal maxim. Very, very fundamental to the justice system. Then he quotes another one, that justice must not just be done, but must be manifestly seen to be done, unquote. Then he says, place the facts of this matter onto these two legal principles and conclude whether the truth and nothing but the truth will come out of this inquiry.
Okay, so I'm going to be skeptical.
There's nothing wrong with what Parliament is doing in terms of the law.
There's nothing wrong with it, but we all wonder whether the truth will come out eventually. And that truth, when it comes out, can we handle it as a people? It's going to burn our hands.
No, we should be able.
We are going to feel very bad about what that truth will be. And I liked what you said, Malik, about the fact that perhaps Joe Wise, as you call him, never mentioned Mahama Ayarige's name, even on the floor, and nobody contested, and they were in Parliament. However, I think in other places he has mentioned Mahama Ayarige's name, and has also mentioned Honorable Ablakwa's name. It makes us who are just listening wonder, is he sure who said it at all, or was it even said at all? So we hope that out of all of this, there will be some clarity again, to use the word clarity a second time, on who said what. Because if it is really about brownie points or scoring points, then that's another big shame, because it should not be the case. In the first place, the NDC government was not more corrupt than any other corrupt government. In fact, they were not corrupt until it has been proven. And I don't think that the MPP government is also coming with a goal to become corrupt. I want to believe that everyone is going to try and do their best. So trying to say we are equalizing, I'm not sure that that is a good thing. Right now, it's not about presidents or parties equalizing. It's about individuals, some who are even lawyers, who have created a situation that now makes us all have a big question mark about their processes and who they are and what they are doing there. But we pray and hope that when the truth comes out, it will be something that we can handle.
Yes, I hope you are not suggesting by that bit of your comment that some who are even lawyers, that the fact that they are lawyers and that they have grounds to believe that this was bribe money, they shouldn't talk about it publicly.
No, but if we're going to expose it, and you are a member of Parliament, and this is a breach of, parliamentary things, it's the Speaker first. Okay?
You are a member of Parliament, you know, you are a lawyer, you know.
Unless you want to go to the police direct.
What's the guarantee that if they did not go public, this would have gotten the leverage that is receiving?
No,
but the chairman of the committee is also a lawyer and a member of Parliament, so both sides. So we are talking about both sides having that foreknowledge and yet having to deal with this situation.
Why didn't they go straight to the police? If they didn't want Parliament to deal.
I asked him that question. I asked him that question, and he told me that I could go to the police, you know.
Yes, but I remember on Joy, he said the AG.
When are the 3,000 CD envelopes from the others also coming back?
But could they had already dispersed
the sender went back to the sender.
No, I mean the others. The others.
How do we know?
Okay, let's not preempt them. When they appear, maybe they have ocular evidences of the evidence. Maybe they took photographs, maybe they took videos, maybe they have something like that.
So we are jumping the gun.
I want to speak to the narration thing that Honorable Nana Komia said. That may also be another thing that in Ghana we have the issue of when you give money to induce and when you give money to thank. There's always been that situation in all practices, because somehow it's our custom that when something is done, whether the person was competent or not, they still go and do a thank you or something. And I'm not talking about just Parliament, but generally. Is it possible that this money came out too early and it was supposed to come out at the time of a thank you? But even so, should parliamentary members be thanked for doing their own work?
Well, Boache Jacko will be there, and we will hear him, of course, repeat what he has already said, that he did no such thing. He put his life on the line. And in fact, I think as far as I know, he is suing. This one says, thanks to Kweku Bakun for demystifying the myth surrounding this parliamentary bribery saga. You were missed. Welcome back, teacher. That's from Danny Kwejo. And then Desmond Shong Tashi says, I can see some MPs losing their seats at the end of this inquiry. Okay, he's not that skeptical about what will come out of it. Then Horatius Amankra. The last time I butchered your name by saying Amankwa. Horatius, okay, Horatius Amankra says that it should be made clear that Joe Wise has denied categorically that he ever made reference to Ayarga with regards to the bribery allegation being cooked up. Thank you. Then Francis Danso says that he is Citizen Francis of the MPP caucus on Facebook. He says, thanks to the Honorable Speaker for setting up a committee to investigate the bribery allegation. If it turns out to be false, which I believe it is, Honorable Ayarga must be impeached. He just wants to blemish the hard-earned reputation of the Honorable Ejako. Then Kwejo Owusu Bediako Poko Jr. says, please tell Kweku Bakun there is no word like minority.
Oh, okay.
The way he pronounces minority. Says you pronounce it as minority. Okay.
I'll try and do
right.
better.
Thank you for that. And he says, we love you. Yao Marvin says that the committee set up by Parliament to investigate the bribery allegation level against Honorable Boachi Ejako and Honorable Joe Wise by Mahama Ayarga has started on the wrong footing. Why will the committee, in their first meeting, instead of calling Mahama Ayarga, who made the said allegation, to come and prove, will rather call on Honorable Joe Wise to be the first witness? God have mercy. Yao Marvin in Kwesi Minton. Yao, the explanation that has come forth is that what you're saying is normally the traditional, basic, fundamental, procedural way to go about it. You put the accuser in first, and then when the accuser finishes, the accused will now continue. Sometimes it may not be even necessary because you hear the accuser and what they have to say, if it's not substantial, you throw them out. But the explanation is that they are now doing this probe on the instance or at the instance of Joe Wise. So like Kweku Bakun explained, it is Joe Wise who is quote-unquote the complainant. So since he is now the complainant, he must speak first. So that's the explanation that is coming for you. Then, okay, you two, you have a problem with Kweku Bakun's pronunciation of minority. That is Hamidu Muhammad Gadro. And Haruna Borges Salifu says 4 against 1. The media cabal is working. Okay, I think I should have seen this first. You must have a good time for your messages. Chief Afeto says, let's all stand by our principles. God bless Ghana. Then Asumantan Rich Yunus says, good morning, Inus. Yeah, we know you are sending from Boku, so you say that tell our politicians to patch the loopholes in public finance instead of chasing a paltry 9% of 100% fund. The monies misappropriated through create, loot, and share, corruption, tax evasion, etc., should transform our education sector. The problems in this country are not about lack of funds. It is about corruption. Nana Tete says this bribery scandal will end one way. One side is lying, therefore guilty of a crime. I am not particularly bothered by this side. Rather, I am concerned with what happens after someone or some people should lose their seats. Akonyire Maxwell says that, I don't know what the appearance of Ayariga and his friends will bring more than the truth and nothing else. The truth, they say, is like a, okay, so it's like a float, it's like a cock. That's what you wanted to say. It will float on water if you try to sink it. Okay, by all means, it will come up. Kakra Solomon says that using the Heritage Fund to finance the free SHS policy is the best investment for future generations. Farouk in Tamale says that the Heritage Fund opposed by NPP to be used to fund free SHS. MPP party of men, bereft of ideas, create your own fund and stop plagiarizing ideas by others. Okay, thanks for those messages. And once again, you are notified that Bank of Africa has opened a new branch or head office on the first floor of Block A and B of the Octagon building close to the Mövenpick Hotel. That ultramodern head office branch complements the Bolga, Wa, Airport City, Opera Square, Teshinungwa, Accra Central branches that were added to the Bank of Africa family 2016. Visit any of their 26 branches across the country to experience their excellent customer service in a comfortable and serene ambiance. Further directions and other inquiries, please contact Bank of Africa 0302-249-690. What do you enjoy most on Facebook? Is it the hilarious videos, the pictures, comments, messenger, or simply staying in touch with your friends? You can enjoy all of this for free with MTN Free After One. Pay only for the first minute of your call on MTN Free After One and enjoy free Facebook for the rest of the day. Dial *315# to sign up now. Terms and conditions apply. MTN everywhere you go. ACAP compost fertilizer will cut the poor seasonal yields that you have suffered and the post-harvest losses that you have suffered as well. ACAP compost fertilizer is organic, pure organic materials. ACAP compost fertilizer is available in all leading agro inputs dealers and distributors across the country. So look for them. White Temple Agencies, they give you the latest technologically advanced, trendy, and durable, yet affordable stone-coated roofing tiles. Look for them at number 65 Derby Avenue on the Children's Hospital Road, adjacent NHIS building arena, or their sales office branch at Old Weja Barrier, Accra West. And this is where we take a break. When we return, we now look at the very last bits of the introduction I gave to you. I said we will check if 4.6 billion Ghana cedis of the money we don't have is going into a needless duplication, interoperable, whatever they call it, it's difficult to even mention, projects. It's a project coming up and being led by the Bank of Ghana and